I had to laugh when I logged into X this afternoon and I saw what was trending. Free gear Keir. And is right as well, because when you look at the Sky News report, Keir Starmer received £107,145 in total value of gifts accepted, all declared since December 2019 and the general election. Not so closely followed by Lucy Pell with over 40,000 and then 32 and so on and so on. But not only was Free Gear Keir trending, but also Victoria Sponge. His wife's name is Victoria, obviously. And she hit the news because of receiving the additional free clothing by Lord Ali, that then there was this big debate as to whether it was properly declared and whatever, and they took advice and then made the proper declarations and so on. But this also got me to thinking, let's bring this back to a serious discussion for a moment. Now, why is this important? Well, because if someone received gifts like this, now, it's not to say it's out and out wrong or whatever, but if someone receives gifts, they have to be declared as a declaration of interest, etc. But it's considered wrong by many because it goes against the principle of being entirely unbiased and entirely impartial. Because as a barrister, for example, if someone were to offer me a gift over and above the fees, say, I would have to consider carefully whether or not to decline said gift, because it might be against the Bar Standards Board handbook containing the code of conduct, because it might appear to the public that I'm acting without honesty and integrity. And so if, let's say, I did 2 hours work for somebody and they wanted to, let's be outrageous, and let's say they wanted to give me a car by way of gratitude, that would be ridiculous, because the value of the car, depending on what the car is, £20,000 to £100,000, whatever, would still far outweigh a couple of hours work. Whereas if a barrister, let's say, did a trial, a big defamation trial or some other trial that went to the High Court or whatever, and the fees were in the region of £250,000, and let's say they said to you as the barrister, if you win, and they say, I'm so grateful to you, here's an iPad, or here's a laptop even for a couple of £1,000s, that's negligible in the scheme of the overall fees. So you see the difference. So no one would really look at the barrister and think, well, they got a gift on top of the fees for winning the trial, and it's all commensurate to the value of the fees received. But this is why this is such a big deal. Although I'm not saying this was done improperly. This is reported to have been all declared, etc. And this is the value of gifts received. But that's why it's important, because if you receive gifts like this, they're supposed to be declared. And so that's what all the media was about. But anyway, I thought that was funny because with all good humor and good intentions, I saw that trending on X and I had to just shine a light on this, really. And this is genuinely a topic that is covered, believe it or not, on the bar course to become a barrister, because a lot of students, at least when I did the course years ago, a lot of students struggled with the concept that you cannot just accept gifts and bribes and things of that nature. Some students did struggle with that. Most didn't, I'm pleased to say, but some students did struggle with that concept that you cannot just accept gifts in order to do a better job or to be more believable and persuadable by your client. That's obviously not how it works, and certainly not how it should work. And so, the rules are very clear that if you receive gifts like this, you should be, or if you're offered gifts like this, you should be absolutely considering whether or not you should decline said gift. And so let's say, for example, one day your client wants to take you to a really nice lunch after winning a case, and they take you to an upmarket Michelin star restaurant. I go there now and again to sort of treat myself and the family. We're talking £150 a head or thereabouts. depending on, what set meals you have, the extras you order and all these kind of things. So if your client were to take you to one of those and you ordered some expensive wine and, suddenly you're talking a few £100s a head, that's obviously quite expensive for most people. And if you were to look at that from the outside looking in, that might be like, whoa, that looks like the barrister's been lavished upon by the client with this really expensive meal. Better report them for misconduct. They're obviously up to no good. Now, if the regulators were to look at that, they would look at it in the round, and it's partly the public perception. But it's also, well, were they really acting outside of the rules? Because if they were just coming off, again, let's say a huge case with hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of fees, and they've just won, and their client's ecstatic, they've just won their case worth millions of pounds, the fees were in the hundreds of thousands of pounds, they go to a nice restaurant lunch where they spend a few £100s on their lawyer to sort of treat them for winning the case. And suddenly that's not so bad, is it? Because a few £100s on the lawyer as a well done for winning this huge case that might be worth millions of pounds. I've been involved in those cases before now, where the stakes are in the millions, because we're talking about intellectual property, the database, all of the rights, what we call the sui generis rights to the database, and someone was copying it. And if these cases go the wrong way, there can be millions of pounds at stake, and the fees can be in the hundreds of thousands of pounds. And so you go to a meal like that, actually, it's not that big a deal. But when you look at politicians receiving gifts like this, it does make a lot of people wonder, which is why it's got to be registered and everything else. But it did, obviously, especially with Lord Ali hitting the headlines, having a temporary pass to Downing Street when he had no official business there. That obviously raises serious questions. Why did he have the pass? Why is he making the donations, and what's going on? And Sky News did a fantastic little report on that, which is where this graph came from, for full credit. So go ahead and find the Sky News report, watch that. I think that's really interesting. But I thought I would just do this video as a brief overview, because a lot of people will think, well, are you even allowed to accept gifts? Are barristers allowed to accept gifts? And the answer is yes, but it depends. And so, for most cases, let's say a bottle of champagne, 30, 40, or even 80, £100, whatever, is going to be perfectly fine in the vast majority of cases. Whereas if you were to take something that was a very old, very rare, unique bottle of something that's worth 10, 15,000, then suddenly that's a little bit odd, to say the least. And so if a barrister were offered those, they would have to seriously consider declining the gift. But I thought you might find that interesting because it hit the news and because I came across the trending captions, and I found that comical. No offense intended, of course, to any of those mentioned, in case any of those mentioned end up watching, or any of those representing those mentioned end up watching. All in good humor, because it was really genuinely trending. Free Gear Kia was trending, and Victoria Sponge was just another one I happened to find because of looking down this rabbit hole. So anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting. Please do leave me your thoughts in comments, politely and respectfully, please, in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.